theoretical part and yoga is considered as a practical part of the same teaching. Sankhya is also considered as a philosophy of numbers because it deals with 25 categories of evolutions. As it deals with the numbers, we can even reflect and we can say that it is even influenced the Pythagorean philosophy. And this Sankhya is considered as spiritualistic pluralism and dualistic realism because it believes that the universe is made up of two realities, that is Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti means the matter and Purusha means the pure consciousness. And it believes in spiritualistic pluralism because it believes that there are many jivas or souls is there. And if you see the key philosophers, we can tell one of the prominent is Ishwar Krishna because he is the person who wrote the Sankhya Karika, which is the basic fundamental text of the Sankhya. And also he is the person who gave to organize the 25 tattvas of the Sankhya. So this is a brief introduction. Now let us look into the theory of causation. Every Indian philosophical school will contain this theory of causation. In this theory of causation, the basic question it includes that does the effect pre-exist in the material cause? If the effect pre-exists in the material cause, we call it as an Satkaryavar, and if the effect doesn't pre-exist in the material cause, we call it as Asatkaryavar. For Asatkaryavar, that is the Karya effect doesn't pre-exist in the material cause. So they believe that the effect is a new creation. It is not already present in the cause. The example of this Asatkaryavar we can say Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Hinayana Buddhism, materialism, and also some of the followers of Mimamsa also will believe in Asatkaryavar. If you see the Satkaryavar, it believes that effect it is not a new creation. It is only an explicit manifestation of which was implicitly contained in a material cause. Here the other question arises that this effect is an real transformation or unreal appearance. The people who believe it as a real transformation, we call it as Parinamavar, and the people who believe it is an unreal appearance, we call it as Vivadavadi. The example of the Satkaryavar is Sankhya, Yoga, Ramanuja also believe in this Satkaryavar. And the Sankhya Yoga view we call it as an Prakriti Parinamavar, and the Ramanuja view we call it as an Brahma Parinamavar. As I said, Sankhya believes in Satkaryavar. According to Sankhya, all effects are the modification or the parinama of the Prakriti. They already pre-exist in the Prakriti and they simply come out at the time of creation and they return it at the time of dissolution. There is no new prediction or destruction. To support of Satkaryavar, Sankhya even gave a few arguments. So this is about the theory of causation, and then let us look the metaphysics of this Sankhya, that is the Prakriti and Purusha. As I said, according to Sankhya, the universe is made up of two realities, that is Prakriti and Purusha. The first is the Prakriti. This Prakriti, as I said, the theory of causation. According to Sankhya, the theory of causation means effect is a pre-existence in the cause. So it gives rise to the concept of Prakriti, which is the root cause of all the world objects. It is considered as the first principle of the universe. So it is also called as Pradhana, and also it is called as Avyakta, Anumana, Jana and Shakti. This Prakriti is uncaused, it is independent, absolute, and it is born, and it is eternal, and it is present beyond production and destruction. And Sankhya believes that the consciousness cannot be regarded as the source of the world, because as Vedanta and Mahayana believe, because they say that the intelligent principle cannot transfer itself to unintelligent world. Similarly, they also say that the material atoms or physical elements cannot be regarded as a cause of the world, as Charvaka believe, because they cannot explain the subtle products of matter like mind, intellect and ego. These products belongs to only Purusha alone, and they are regarded as internal organs. So the unintelligent, unmanifest, uncaused, ever active, eternal and one Prakriti alone is the final source of the world of objects. And Sankhya also gives 5 proofs even for the existence of this Prakriti. And this Prakriti is said to be the composition of 3 gunas, which are held in equilibrium. The 3 gunas are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. These are considered as the constituents of Prakriti, and through that itself the worldly objects emerge. And their existence is inferred from their effects, that is the pleasure, pain and indifference respectively. Although they are considered as gunas, they are not just only the ordinary qualities or attributes. They themselves possess some qualities like lightness, activity, heaviness. They make up the Prakriti, which is nothing apart from them. The first guna is Sattva. It the real or existent. It is responsible for the manifestation of objects in consciousness. It is used for goodness and it produces the pleasure. It is very light, bright and illuminating, prakashaka. The second guna is, and the color of this sattva is white. The second guna is rajas. It means fullness. It is the principle of motion. It produces the pain, the effort, or the results of these rajas. It is very mobile, it is shallow and stimulating. The color is red. The third guna is tamas. It means darkness. It is the principle of inertia. Ignorance, confusion, passivity and negativity are the results of this guna. It is very heavy and it is totally opposite to sattva and rajas because it arrests the activity. The color is black. These three gunas will constitute prakriti as never separate. Even though they conflict, but they cooperate each other and always found to be intermingled. Just like it is compared to oil, wick and flame of the lamp. Even though they are opposed, but they cooperate to produce the light of the lamp. When these gunas are held in the state of equilibrium, we call that state as a prakriti. And evolution of objects will not take place at this state. These gunas are said to be changing, and this change is said to be of two kinds. First is homogeneous, that is sarva parinama, and second is heterogeneous, virupa parinama. During the pralaya, that is the state of dissolution of the world, the gunas change homogeneously, that is sattva changes into sattva, rajas into rajas and tamas into tamas. This change will not disturb the equilibrium and evolution cannot take place during this phase. Evolution starts only in the heterogeneous change in the gunas. That is, one guna will predominate over the other gunas, that is the rajas which is very energetic and active, predominates over the sattva and tamas. And this evolution takes place in the prakriti. And the second co-eternal reality of Sankhya is Purusha. It means that pure consciousness. It is considered as the soul, self, spirit, subject and the knower. And the consciousness is the essence of Purusha. It is very pure and transcendental consciousness. It is the ultimate knower, which is the foundation of all the knowledge. It is a pure subject and it can never become an object of the knowledge. It is present beyond the time and space, beyond change and activity. It is self-luminous and self-proof. It is considered as an uncaused, eternal, and it is indubitable, real, and postulate of knowledge. And all the doubts it presupposes in its existence. It is also called as Nishtaygunya, Udasina, Kevala, Madhyastha, Saksi, Drashta, etc. And even the Sankhya gives even 5 proofs even for the existence of this Purusha. And then let us look into the evolution, how the evolution happens according to Sankhya. As I said earlier, the prakriti is said to be dynamic because it is always changing. So during the dissolution, in homogeneous change, that is sarva parinama, the prakriti where all the gunas are held in equilibrium. So in this state, the evolution cannot take place. So only in heterogeneous state, where the rajas vibrates and it makes sattva and tamas also to vibrate. And other than the equilibrium is disturbed and evolution takes place. The sattva, which is the principle of manifestation, the rajas, which is the principle of activity, were held in check by tamas, which is the principle of non-manifestation and non-activity. So the rajas, which is the principle of activity, makes the other two gunas, that is sattva and tamas, to vibrate, and the process of creation begins. As we believe in the Satkaryavat, this creation is not a new creation, it is only just a manifestation, and this evolution is regarded as cyclic but not linear, because there is no continuous progress in one direction, and it is present in it is a period of evolution and dissolution in the cyclic order, and this evolution is said to be teleological but not mechanical, and this evolution takes place only to serve the purpose of Purusha. That is the prakriti, the guna, senses, mind, ego and intellect, all are constantly serving the end of Purusha. So Purusha needs prakriti for the enjoyment as well as for liberation, that is for samsara as well as for kaivalya. So evolution supplies objects to be enjoyed by the Purusha and also works for his liberation by enabling them to discriminate between himself and prakriti. So here the other question arises is how this equilibrium can be disturbed. Sankhya cannot answer this question in a satisfactory manner, but it says that the fundamental of Sankhya, it says that prakriti and Purusha, they both are absolute and independent. So they both are separate and they can never unite together. If they can never unite together, then how does this evolution take place? But this Sankhya says that the disturbance of this equilibrium of the guna starts evolution. It is made possible by the contact of Purusha and prakriti. So they say that Purusha without prakriti is lame and prakriti without Purusha is blind. Just like theory without practice is empty and practice without theory is blind. So prakriti needs Purusha in order to be enjoyed, that is Dashnatam, and Purusha also needs prakriti in order to India, that is Boga, and also in order to obtain liberation. If Prakriti and Purusha remain separate, there must be dissolution. For creation, so that there must be unite. So the inactive Purusha and non-intelligent Prakriti cooperate to serve this end, and this union disturbs the equilibrium of the gunas and it leads to evolution. Here the other question arises like how the two opposite independent entities will really come into contact. Further, Sankhya says that there is no real contact between Purusha and Prakriti. There is only the proximity of Purusha that falls under Prakriti. And from there, this proximity is sufficient to disturb the equilibrium of the gunas and it leads to evolution. So in this way, the evolution takes place by the disturbance of these gunas. And when the evolution takes place, it gives rise to 25 evolutes. The first evolute that comes from the Prakriti is the Buddhi or Mahat. It is considered as the first evolute of Prakriti. This Mahat is considered as a great, and it is also called Buddhi or intellect. And from Mahat, it produces the Ahankara. It is the principle of individualization. The function is to generate the self-sense, that is Abhimana, and it produces the notion of I and mine. It is an individual ego sense. And this Ahankara is said to be of three kinds. That is Satvika, Tamasa and Rajasa. The Satvika, when Sarva Guna predominates, it is viewed as cosmic. It produces manas and 5 sensory organs and 5 motor organs. It is viewed as psychological and it produces good deeds. The second is Tamasa, when Tamas Guna predominates. It is also viewed as cosmic. It produces the 5 subtle elements, that is Tanmantras, and it is also viewed as psychological. It leads to indifferent acts. The third is Rajasa, when Rajas predominates. It is viewed as cosmic. It supplies the energy by which the Satvika and Tamasa produce their respective evolutes. It is also viewed as psychological and it is responsible to produce the evil deeds. The manas, which comes from the Satvika Ahankara, it is said to be the subtle and central sense organ, and it can come into contact with several sense organs at the same time. So the Satvika Ahankara, it produces manas, 5 sensory organs and 5 motor organs. The 5 sensory organs, that is the Gnanendriya, or the functions of sight, smell, taste, touch and sound. And the 5 motor organs, that is Karmendriya, or the functions of speech, apprehension, movement, expression and reproduction. Next, the Buddhi, Ahankara and Manas, these represent the 3 psychological aspects of knowing, willing and feeling. Sankhya calls them as material and derives them from Prakriti. They shine through the light of Purusha and are apparently conscious. All these 3 are considered the internal organs, and vital with pranas are said to be their modifications. From Tamas Ahankara, it gives rise to 5 subtle essence which are called Tanmantras, or the things that are in themselves. They are the essence of sight, smell, taste, touch and sound. And it also leads to production of the 5 gross elements. At first, the sound, the essence of sound, it produces the Akasha, and then the combination of sound and touch, it produces the air, and the combination of the sound, touch and sight, it leads to the rise of the element of fire. Next, the sound, touch, sight, the combination of sound, touch, sight and taste, it gives rise to the element of water. And at last, the combination of the sound, touch, sight, taste and smell, it gives rise to the smell. So this evolution, earth. So this evolution is said to be the play of 24 principles along with Purusha, which is a mere spectator, and outside the play of evolution there are 25 categories of Sankhya. Out of these 25 principles, the Purusha is not a cause or an effect. Only Prakriti is only the cause, but it is not an effect. The Mahat, Ahankara and 5 subtle essence are considered as both causes and effect, while the 5 sensory and motor organs and 5 gross elements and manas, they are only the effects. And this evolution is said to be very teleological, and this evolution is totally works to serve the purpose of the Purusha, and the whole creation unconsciously tends towards the realization of purpose of Purusha, and this creation will continue till the Purusha, all the Purushas are liberated. The entire evolution of Prakriti, right from the first evolute, that is the Mahat, up to the last evolute, the gross element, is serving the purpose of liberating each individual Purusha. And then let us look bondage and liberation. According to this Sankhya school, they say that the life is made up of 3 kinds of pain. The first is Adhyatmika. It is due to the intra-organic psychological causes and it includes the mental and body sufferings. The second is Adibhavika. It is due to the extra-organic natural causes. The third is Adidayika. It is due to the supernatural causes. goddess like planets, ghosts, demons, etc. They say that wherever these three gunas are there, these three kinds of pains are also present. So the end of the man is to get rid of all these three kinds of pain and suffering. So for them, liberation means complete cessation of suffering, which is the highest end of life, that is Purushottam. So the Purusha, which is a very free and pure consciousness, it is inactive, indifferent, and it possesses no attributes, and it is present even above time and space, merit and demerit, bondage and liberation. So when this Purusha mistake its reflection in the buddhi for itself, and it identifies itself wrongly with the internal organ, that is the intellect, ego and mind, it is said to be in bondage. So it is the ego but not the Purusha which is in the bondage. So when Purusha realizes its pure nature, it gets liberated. So this bondage is due to the ignorance between the self and non-self, and liberation can be obtained due to the right knowledge between the self and non-self. And according to Sankhya, only the knowledge it leads to liberation, because bondage is due to the ignorance, and ignorance can be removed only through right knowledge. So the jiva, that is the Purusha, it has to realize itself as it is a pure Purusha through discrimination between the Purusha and Prakriti. So the knowledge that I am not self, nothing is mine, the ego is unreal. When we constantly meditated upon, it becomes pure and absolute, and it leads to liberation. So Sankhya admits both Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. So the moment the right knowledge dawns, the person becomes liberated here. Even though he may be embodied due to some previous karma, but on account of momentum of past deeds, the body continues to exist even for something, just as the wheel of the potter goes on revolving, even though the potter has withdrawn his hand from it due to the previous momentum. As the liberated person, there is no association with the body, so no new karma gets accumulated, and all the karma loses causal energy. This final and complete isolation automatically results after the death. So this Sankhya liberation is a state of complete isolation, freedom from all the pain, and return of Purusha to its pure nature of consciousness. So the Sankhya believes that bondage and liberation, they both are alike phenomena. The bondage of the Purusha is a friction. It is only the ego, that is the product of Prakriti, which is in bondage. It is not the Purusha which is in bondage, because the Purusha which is in complete isolation, it is untouched by bondage and liberation. So because if Purusha is really bonded, then we cannot get liberation even though we take hundreds of births. So it is a Prakriti only which is in bondage, and Prakriti only which is in liberated. Like the Ishwar Krishna, he says that Purusha, it is neither born nor it is liberated, nor it doesn't migrate. So this is about they explain how the bondage and liberation in the Sankhya. And then if you see about the God, it is an atheistic school. It doesn't believe in the existence of God, because it says that only the Prakriti and Purusha are sufficient to explain the whole universe, and there is no reason for them in postulating a God. And if you see the conclusion, it offers a profound insights into the nature of existence through its dualistic framework. It emphasizes the significance of knowledge as a pathway to liberation, and positioning itself as a critical